Keyboard trick?
No.
How to bring up extra keys in the keyboard?
Except for the division symbol, which we expect that you'll be working on that.
So it should be.
Yeah, I'll send that for an email.
I need a division
showing.
What was I going to do?
The case
Oh, sorry.
covers half.
Alright, so one thing I want to really highlight to you guys is we already talked about this. What is this missing?
Keyboard.
It's missing the keyboard, right? Have you guys missed your keyboard?
Nope.
Okay, who's missed their clickety keyboard?
A little bit.
Okay.
Because I clicked clean type.
Alright, so let me show you some tricks with this keyboard to really kind of help you out.
Pictures.
Alright, the first trick is, actually, I'm going to run the mail real quick here. Alright, if I go into compose a new message, alright, and I'm going to start down here. This is the body of the email, right?
Okay.
What's my keyboard look like?
Keyboard.
Pretty normal looking, yeah? Nothing too...
Small.
Yeah. Okay? Now, if I tap up here in the 2, watch the keyboard. What do you notice different about the keyboard?
Nothing, for real. I missed it.
No change. These 4 buttons right here changed.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
Alright? Because we're in the 2 field, it knows you have to put an @ sign, so it gives you that automatically because it knows. It gives you a period because it knows you have to put a period in there. Underscore and a dash because those are common in emails. Okay? So it gives you the tools you need. Get better than that. Go to Safari. So I'm in the browser bar up here. What do you notice about the keyboard?
It's got the .com.
.com.
Okay? That makes it a little easier. What's missing?
Numbers.
We don't put ats in.
No space bar.
There's no space bar. I can have a space bar on a keyboard.
Can't have a space bar in an app.
You can't have a space in a URL. It will not recognize it. There's no URL in the world that has a space bar for space in it.
That is pretty snappy.
That's
Alright? So instead it gives you the buttons that it expects you to use in that field.
That's good.
Okay? So, little things there to kind of help you out in those processes. Alright? Now the next one.
You can get free magazines for your
So, how many people have an iPhone?
Get it to you.
How do you type on your iPhone? Somebody just hold your fingers up and show me how you type on your iPhone. We're using our thumb. Oh, we got some, index finger people here. A lot of people use their thumb.
I guess I use mine.
Both. This is actually probably a true medical diagnosis now called BlackBerry thumb, thanks to the BlackBerry. All right, you get some wicked carpal tunnel or something going on. But with this, I can do it. I got big hands. Can you guys reach all the way across your keyboard and actually press all these buttons? All right?
Yes.
So, all we got to do is that, and we separate the keyboard.
What did you do?
How'd you separate it? I did it.
Just basically
Hold it apart?
pull it apart.
Oh, but now it's tiny. But cute.
All right? What you can also do is you can actually drag it up to the middle of your iPad, so now it's actually balanced in your hands well. All right? This is great for kids. Granted, we're teaching them a very horrible way to type, but this is how they're growing up now. All right? This works good for doing some typing when you're holding it in this portrait mode. All right, so to move up, down in the bottom right-hand corner is this little keyboard thing. Okay, you have to kind of tap on it and hold it for a second or two, and then you can drag it up and down. It's a little tricky to do that piece of it. Okay. No, just that right there. Okay.
This is the very first one that came out.
Now we'll go. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's kind of tricky. Now the other thing you can do is you can actually tap and hold on that keyboard, and you'll see dock and merge. Or when it's together, undock, split. All right, so there's different ways to do this. Okay.
I know, I don't know.
So, just one of those other ways to help you hopefully work a little bit better. Okay? All right, what other questions did we have on the fish bowls here? Anybody have any weird questions that they have or came across? Anything quite know? Let's see if which one do we kind of focus on. Let's go to Safari real quick. Safari is another powerful thing we can utilize with students. All right. Some of the things I want you to pay attention to is this. In a lot of apps, you're going to see this icon, this little box with the arrow coming out of it. All right, that's going to be a very, very popular icon to be seeing in a lot of different apps. What that does is that's kind of like export or move or do something with. All right. So right now I'm in Safari, so if I tap on that, I have the option to mail this link, this web page, tweet it, put it to Facebook. I can add it as a home screen icon. All right. So I think the problem you were having is, remember, there's no home page in Safari. It's always going to go back to the last place you were. All right. So if you want to have a home page, if you're familiar and comfortable and want that home page, an option is, let's say you want Jeffco Connections or you want Lawrence Elementary website as your home page. All right, you can go to that web link, click Add to Home Screen, and then what that does is it takes it and drops it in here as an icon. So now instead of going to Safari every time to access the internet, you go there, and it's going to take you to your home page. So if you want that home page, that's one way to do it. Okay? So the other thing on here is when we go to a website, and I'm going to hit it up there, look at CNN. See what's going on in Boston right now. Ooh, Ryson, another good call. So, it was a fun week last week, wasn't it? So, what we have here is we're basically on a page where we do a lot of reading. All right? What you're going to see here is you're going to see this little reader box pop up here in your browser bar. All right, if I were to tap on reader, oh, I'm sorry, you step it back. I'm going down the wrong path. If I tap on reader, what it's doing is it's getting rid of all that other garbage on that web page. All right, all the ads, mortgage rates at 2.89%. Yeah, students really want to know about that. But it gets rid of all these ads and only focuses on the content of the article. All right, which is really good to keep kids focused on what you want them to actually be reading. Gets rid of all the garbage and nonsense on that web page.
That on the smartboard too. Is there a button?
There might be, I don't know.
Deb,
I didn't hear what you're saying.
so you know when you pull up something off the internet on your smartboard and all that garbage comes up, is there something on this
You have to be on a
smartboard app to get rid of that
If you
too?
have a page where there's a lot of text, so if you have this as your home page, if you click on button, if you have a button on this page, that automatically comes up, that little reader bar there.
Yeah, it's only on certain pages it'll work actually. Now, the other thing we can do is, from this web page, let's say you know you're going someplace that you might be offline or you want to store this certain web page for later, we can tap that little box with the arrow, and I can add this to my reading list. Okay, so I add that to my reading list. To access that, I come up here to the little book, tap on that, and I'm on reading list, right here, and there it is. And what it's doing is, you can see it says saving from offline reading. So now, if I'm on an airplane, I'm someplace where there's no internet, but I want to pull this article back up again, I can pull it back up from here.
Mike, you can hit the little reader thing.
Let's see your screen.
Here's me. You can have that thing. Is it a settings?
Shouldn't be a setting, it should automatically pop up. Alright, I'm making some mental notes here to make sure. You guys are pulling up issues that I haven't.
I just did it.
You're welcome.
I am
Oh,
totally
you're that Alright, so we've got the reader issue and we've got the iPad cover lock unlock issue that I've got to sort out.
And the
And
division.
the division issue, I tried to drop that one.
Did you pull out your iPad and use the notes application?
I'm I'm actually recording all of this.
Okay, so right there, you can get ads.
Oh, it's so much better.
All right, so we got about 15 minutes left. I want to go through some of this other stuff. Let's talk about apps.
Okay.
All right, since we only got about 15 minutes left. These iPads, these iPads have been checked out to you, yes?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure because some schools are kind of doing a community thing, just grab anyone you want. Some schools are, doing it differently. So if these have been checked out to you, one way you can get apps is, you guys are teachers, you're used to paying for stuff by yourself, right? This is no different. All right? You can use a personal Apple ID that you already have and buy apps and download them to your school iPad.
But then it puts it on your phone too.
Then it puts it on your phone. And we just worked on that issue over here. You can turn that off. So you have automatic downloads turned on your phone, and we can turn that off so it won't automatically download to your phone. Okay? So you can buy these apps. All right? And when I go into settings here, what you'll see is when I hit iTunes and App Store, that's my personal Apple ID that I've had, I don't know, 6-7 years now, right? It pretty much stays in there because the benefit to this is, most of these apps aren't expensive. You're talking 99 cents, $1.99, maybe $4.99. But remember, if you guys buy this with your money, your credit card on your Apple ID, if you ever leave, you still own it, all right? It never disappears. It stays in your Apple account forever. Well, whatever Apple forever is, it'll stay there and you never have to worry about it. You can go to another school, you can go to another district, you can go anywhere else, and you own that app all the time. Okay? So that's one benefit. You find those apps you really, really like, you want to really keep using them no matter where you go, that's a benefit. Okay? Plus, it's by far the easiest way to do it. All right? We can have the district or the school buy you apps, but that's a process that basically has to go through teacher librarian, site tech, financial secretary, downloaded, and in order to do updates on it, you have to give it back to them to enter the password in to do the updates. All right, so it just gets to be kind of a pain. Now there are some apps out there, there's some $200 apps. Special education, those guys are buying apps that are the most expensive apps out there, but they're outstanding for what they do. All right, but they're not buying them with their personal information. The department is buying it for them. Okay.
So we set up we set up an Apple ID. I followed the directions on the blue sheet and have my school Apple ID
Okay.
for getting free stuff.
Okay.
But what you're saying totally makes sense. So why do one and not the other?
This all started basically at the beginning of the school year.
Excuse us.
We're watching Elmo.
She's pretty excited she figured something out. Oh, it's Elmo. Hi, Elmo. Okay,
When we first started doing this, we wanted to make sure the DC account, it may not make sense to you guys, is the digital content account. That account stays for paid apps only. So we didn't want to download free apps to that. All right? Problem turns into, and I can pull up my DC account from Warren Tech on here, and there's 500 apps in there. It's turned into an unmanageable nightmare with all the free apps that everybody in the school is downloading. All right? It just gets to be cumbersome. So they wanted to just use that DC account for paid apps, and then have you create your own account using your jeffcoschools.us email as your personal Apple ID to download free apps.
But if we already have our own.
And then we started thinking about it later on, and we're like, you know what? We don't care if people purchase it on their own and put it on their school device. So that's kind of the way we're starting to just push people to say, just use your own Apple ID.
So is there a way to have two Apple IDs going?
Absolutely. So, a couple things real quick here, and I'll come back. A couple things. If you're using a personal Apple ID, how many devices can you put it on?
5.
5? So, personally speaking, I can take my Apple ID, I can buy an app, and I can put it on up to 5 personal devices. All right?
Who has one of our personal devices?
Well, we do with
Never mind. He clearly has one of our personal devices. But in theory,
No, I've got my wife, my daughter,
What's your family?
Yeah, and that's it. And that's why they think of that. The problem is, once we step foot into this building, we are now in an enterprise environment. We can only put it on one device. All right? So what that means is, my personal app that I have, I can put it on my school iPad. I can't log into my Apple ID account on your iPad, your iPad, your iPad, and put it on. That's breaking the rules. All right? We can do it, we just should not do it. There's nothing blocking us from doing that. But if Apple catches us, we can be in a little bit of trouble. All right? Because it actually is breaking the law for the most part. Okay?
Well, and like you said, for the most part, they're not, 99 cents.
Yeah, and it's not worth, and that's the funny thing is, you read some of these reviews now, and someone buys a 99-cent app, and they're like, I want my 99 cents back. I'm like, it's 99 cents. You can't even buy a Snickers bar for 99 cents anymore. And we've somehow or another in the past 3 years, we've gone from spending $200 for Microsoft Office and not really even batting an eye to $4.99 and complaining about $4.99. $200 wasn't a big deal, but now $4.99 is a lot of money. It's like, wow, how did we get to that point? So that's perfectly okay. Now, what you can do is, so what I'm going to show you here is, I'm going to tap here, I'm going to sign out. All right, now I'm going to sign in. Oh, shoot. What is it?
Tap that.
You're working at work right now?
You've all got on there.
I just bored stuff. Huh? I'm boring. Justine found out.
They might have some,
Four picks, one word, four picks together, and you figure out what word.
All right, so I have logged into my Wartech DC account. Okay, this is the one I'm not supposed to be able to log into, but I still can.
I like this one.
I've logged into that. All right, I can actually, what this will allow me to do is, in my App Store now, you can see I have 10 updates. All right, no matter which one I'm logged in as, if I'm logged in as my personal one, if I'm logged in as my school one, doesn't matter which one I'm logged in as. These are all my apps that need updating. I'm not going to update them right now because it'll start sucking Wi-Fi. But when I go to update, it's going to ask me for my password for both of those accounts. All right, so it's managing both accounts at the same time. If I've ever entered in an Apple ID into here, it's going to remember that, and it's going to ask you for that password every time to do an update. So it's managing all Apple IDs for you. And you can sign in and out from whichever one you want at any point in time. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Then how do you go, what steps do you go through to get an Apple ID?
So the best way to get an Apple ID, if you want to, you can do it one of two ways. If you don't want a credit card tied to it, so you don't want to enter any credit card information in, you have to do it from the App Store. So go to the App Store, and you have to download a free app. Make sure you're not signed in with any Apple ID.
Lisa, there were directions on this thing that she gave us.
There are? Okay, good. So I'll just show you real quick here. Sign out. So I am not signed into an Apple ID right now. If I go and get a free app, we'll get Whale Trail here, and I click free, and I click install, I want to create new Apple ID, and it's going to take you through the process. When it comes to the payment section, because you are trying to purchase a free app, you'll have the option of none for credit card. So that's the only way to do it without a credit card is this way.
When I tried it, there wasn't a spot. Most of that paper said it was only Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express.
From where did you do it?
At home.
On your iPad? Was it a free app?
It was the exact same one.
Really? That's ironic.
So, and then finally I went ahead and just put it in my keys and everything, so I have an account. And then
But you have to give your credit card information.
yeah, because there's only those four options. There wasn't an icon like that picture showed in those blue papers.
Really?
It says none.
How long would you do that?
That's what Becky's
Over the
doing.
weekend.
Did you just set up an Apple ID over here?
Yes.
Did you do a free one?
Yes.
Did it work?
Yes.
All right. We may have to take a quick.
So do it
When
again.
I went to
Looking to
games,
what?
it just told me to do an Apple ID.
Aaron, Kim just tried that, and it was because she did one that cost something, so she had to cancel out of it and go in and get a free one again.
Okay.
And you know what, it might even have something to do with that in-app purchase. Because there's in-app purchases for that app, that might have had something to do with it as well. So even just make sure of that. If that is, then we have to make sure we tell people that. Once you create an Apple ID, it's pretty much, it never leaves. Which is the weirdest thing, is you cannot get rid of an Apple ID. You can pull your credit card information out of there. So the best way to do that is to get on a computer, go to My Apple ID, and log in that way and wipe out your credit card information or put some bogus information in there just to make sure no one gets into it again. That's the best way to do it. Okay. Questions about apps
If
and
it's
Apple
time
ID?
for me to pack up, should I hand this to you
All
now?
right, again, the simplest way I promise you guys is to just
This is
do
the
it
first I've
yourself.
even looked at it
All
since
right?
you brought it to
You
me.
own the app.
That's fun,
You
though.
use the app.
I'd love to
It always
play.
stays with you. You can always
What do they
re-download
cost
it.
to
All
purchase
right?
one?
When this iPad, so for example, if you guys have downloaded personal apps onto this iPad right now, Thursday they take it back from you, re-image it, reconfigure it, give it back to you. All you gotta do is sign in with your Apple ID and re-download all those apps that you previously purchased. Okay? They never disappear. All right? They always live on Apple servers. Okay?
So they're gonna reconfigure Thursday, and then after that point, would, I mean, is it, are we done with the reconfiguring, or
Probably
would
for a
something
while.
happen that, because if we start adding a lot of apps, and then we have to go back and redo that, that's gonna be a pain.
Yeah, it will be. And for the most part, once you get, so what they're doing is, right now these are all set manually, for the most part, all right? We've got a MacBook Air that has software in it called Apple Configurator, and they set it up and manage it a little more centrally. All right, they install these different profiles and do some different stuff, but that's how to manage it, do it in an enterprise model. Yeah, once it comes back, once they do that once, it shouldn't have too much of an issue, maybe once a year. You know, at the end of the year, they might take them back and wipe and clean and start over again. But other than that, during the year, unless it craps out on you, you're gonna be fine. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? We got about 5-10 minutes left. I want to make sure you guys are getting everything you need. Yeah.
What are you using to remote access?
All right. Thank you for asking. I was just going to hit that. So, air server. All right. Now, problem is, for some reason, I don't know if it's gremlins in the building, but we've tried 2 computers and we can't get air server to work in here. All right. What I'm using is software installed on my computer called Air Server. All right. And all it basically is, it's just a window that has opened up on my computer. All right. And the way this is working is you have to be on the same Wi-Fi network, meaning an iPad and your computer have to be, for all intents and purposes here at Jeffco, on the Jeffco wireless network. Okay. The laptops and the computers are the issue usually in that process. Okay. And that's where we're sitting at, like this one right now. We've got it installed on here, but we can't get it to do this. It's just not working for some reason. Can't figure out why. All right. So once those processes are figured out, all you really have to do is set it up on your computer and double-click your home button. Get your multitasking bar in some way, shape, or form. Swipe to the right, and you're going to see this button. If there is a computer or Apple TV running on that Wi-Fi network that you can connect to, you will see that little box with that arrow pop up. All right, so right now, if you were to click on it, you're going to see Chris Mailliard's MacBook. All right, if you click on it and then turn slide mirroring on, there's your screen and my screen.
Oh, so there's someone else's screen? There's one too.
This will handle about 4, 5, 6, 7, I don't even know what the max is. Different screens up here. All right? Which is fun. You know, once we get further down the road with this and we're in a one-to-one environment and you want to compare 2 different students' works on their iPad, you can have them throw both of them up on the screen and say, all right, take a look at these 2 different examples of, whatever, and they'll be able to show it. Okay? So, that's Air Server. All right? Air Server is outstanding. It costs $4. Dirt cheap. There are other options, and Apple TV is one of those options. The problem with Apple TV is our projectors are old and they only have VGA, not HDMI. So we have to spend $100 on the Apple TV, $60 on a converter box. So we're talking $160 per classroom. versus $4. All right, so you can definitely see, you know, small school, not a lot of money, but now think of a high school. I mean, how many classrooms are there in a high school? How much money are you saving by saving $155 per classroom?
Yeah, and then I've been kind of suggesting, I don't know if it's still free, Splash Top, and I haven't played with it. Why would they want Splash Top?
So Splash Top, so what we're doing here is I'm taking my iPad screen, talking to my computer, and because my computer's plugged into the projector, putting it up here, all right? So iPad to computer screen, all right? Splash Top is the exact opposite. It is a remote desktop tool that will allow me to log in to my computer on my iPad. All right, so for smartboard people, all right, you can have Smart running on your computer connected to your projector. Then you can remote desktop into your computer from your iPad, and then what you see on your iPad screen is your computer screen. You are controlling your computer from your iPad. All right? So that retains that Smart software ability to do. So kids can go up there, do Smart, and you can see everything going on your screen. Every once in a while, they had that app that costs $4.99, but every once in a while they turn it to $2.99, and sometimes they even push it free.
And this is Splash Top.
It's called Splash Top, Splash Top 2, I think, or Splash Top Remote Desktop, something along those lines. Problem with it is, it's a bandwidth hog. It's slow. All right. Now, the other issue that you guys may start running into is your Wi-Fi connectivity. All right. Where's your access point in here? I haven't seen it yet.
It's up there.
It might be hidden somewhere. All right. The access point.
I didn't know we did either.
So basically, what your iPads are talking to right now, it's called an access point. All right. It's going to be a box, a little trapezoid-looking box with two antennas coming up out of it, probably up on a wall, high up on the ceiling somewhere.
In every room or no?
No, they'll be scattered throughout the building, probably in common spaces like hallways. Your iPad is talking to that. That's connected to the internet, going through switches in the room, to going outside to the internet. Each one of those little boxes can only handle 26 what are called Internet Protocol or IP addresses. Each one of your iPads is broadcasting a separate IP address. All right? So when we get together in groups like this, if we have more than 25, 26 people in here, we're overloading that access point, and we're going to start kicking people off, and it's going to dramatically decrease the ability of the wireless internet infrastructure that we have. Okay? So one thing to keep in mind is that simple thing. Okay? I know we're like, man, we're pushing forward, pushing hard, pushing hard, pushing hard. One-to-one, let's put 30 iPads in every classroom. Well, wait a minute, can't do that. We do have solutions in place, but they're expensive, and it's a slow process to roll those out. Okay? Just keep that in mind when we have large training, when you're all together, if you start noticing, and that's why I like saying, well, don't do these big downloads.
We're a small school, we don't have 30.
Yeah, you guys are lucky. I did one at Summer Ridge Middle School, and I went to hook up my computer, couldn't even connect to the Wi Fi. And they have two iPad carts sitting there, each with 30 units. They have 60 iPads. And I'm like, where's your access point? And they're like, well, it's over behind the desk there. One access point, all 60 of these are trying to talk to that one access point. So I had to go in and turn airplane mode on one whole cart to shut off the Wi-Fi. So, and then I'm like, oh, look, everything works fine. So that is a problem. It's a known problem. We work around them in different ways. So just know that that's an issue. Okay? Any other questions? What else you got? Fire. We're at 4:15. Want to make sure you guys are squared away with what you kind of need to know. Good to go.
Start.
So is that the same with having like the laptops and the computers?
Yes. Same thing. They're all broadcasting an IP address.
So are we allowed to ask for another access point?
So what they're doing is, the fix of this is a new access point and a new wireless infrastructure that's made by a company called Meraki. And the access points can actually handle 100 IP addresses instead of 26. So they're much more robust. All right. There's like 5 or 6 schools right now that have already had this Meraki upgrade put into the school.
Is it expensive?
Yeah, it's about 50 grand a school, I think. So yeah, we need another bake sale. So it may not be that much. I've heard it's right around there. It's a lot of money though. There's a lot that actually goes into it. But what they're doing is they're actually taking those old access points out, and now they've got a stockpile of these extra access points, and they can bring those in and actually put more into your school and bring in more hardware to support the schools that need it. So that's how they're, instead of trying to do this costly upgrade all the time, all around, they're doing this incrementally and still expanding what they have to try and make it less of a burden on the
So
other.
would they take out the access point from another school though? Could they put like 2 in a room, so it'd be 27, 27?
Yeah, basically that's what they're doing. It's, like right at Warren Tech, the access point was in my room, and sports medicine instructor, he's in the room next to me. He used iPad one-to-one basically, and I could tell when I'm doing one of these classes, all of a sudden the internet just starts dying and I can't do anything. And I'm like, oh, he's using iPad next door, but all of them are hitting the same access.
So it only talks to 27?
26. So, yeah, so are you guys seeing a problem right now with that? With laptops? So get with Rhonda and your architect and say, hey, do we need another access point upstairs? And they'll probably work with you on that. If it's a known problem already, tell them that and they'll work with you a little bit.
We know what's the problem.
It is now.
There seems to be some sort of...
We know the problem.
There's some documentation that we know what's the problem.
It is, I mean, absolutely. You know, and everyone got okay? You're all good? All right, good. If you have any questions, get on Schoology, ask questions. All right, I promise you'll learn a lot on Schoology.
That's pretty awesome.
I just want to give it up.
I know. I want to keep mine over the summer and mess with it.
All's done though. Maybe start the next one.
Are you on a computer wired or we'll try and get all this
Fraser?
It's just the